What's going on? My day-to-day people. Got my people with me, huh? Got my people with me. Once again, another day to love, serve the Lord, love one another, respect one another, right? Look out for one another. Take care of one another. All right? Continue to bless the Lord. Continue to speak his name through his son, Jesus Christ. Continue to do that. Speak his name through his son, Jesus Christ. Continue to bless the Lord. He blesses us. Like, I have the opportunity to talk, the opportunity to see myself. Continue to bless the Lord through all things that he gives us on a daily basis. All right. So what we're going to talk about is mind your business. You know, you hear it all the time. People are nosy, need to mind their business. There's a such thing. You have to mind your business. So ask the Lord, pray for discernment. Discernment and the wisdom that he gives to us to be able to discern between people we interact with, right? We can't just see somebody who has an outward appearance, maybe baggy clothes, piercings, riding on a skateboard, however the case may be. You know, they're riding and bumping their music. We just can't see that or hear that and automatically just say, you know what? I'm not going to talk to this person at all. If we have the opportunity to talk, because we already have a forefront judgment of this person bumping their music. So that takes everything out the game of you not wanting to talk to them. We have to stop that. So ask the Lord for discernment. Discernment on just interacting with people. People you may not know. All right. So your neighbor, as we're told, we are to love our neighbor as we love ourselves. Your neighbor is just not the person who's next door to you, who may live in the same community as you. Your neighbor is someone who was at Walmart, you know, shopping centers, the mall, your job, people that are close to you every day. That's your neighbor. It doesn't have to be inside of a house. All right? It does not have to be inside of a house. Now let's think. The Lord even says that. The Lord tells us. He don't dwell in buildings made by hands. All right? He doesn't dwell in a building. The same temple Christ was talking about. When the Pharisees were saying, oh, he's being blasphemous. He's talking about building up a temple in 3 days. He's talking about his body. So the Lord lives in you, not a building. All right? And the Lord can also live in your neighbor. Now, we have to have sympathy when we're talking to people, whether they're in or outside the body of Christ. All right? But at the same time, there's fine guidelines. You have to mind your business. And we'll see that. So, for example, let's go on Jonah. Brother Jonah was called to go preach, to go to Nineveh. He did not want to go. Because in his mind, he felt that, hey, these people are not going to reciprocate what I have to say. They don't even want to serve the Lord. They out there partying like it's 1999. Why should I go over there and waste my time? You know what? I'm going to hop on this boat and go somewhere else. I'm going to go to Tarsus. I'm going to hop on this boat. I don't want nothing to do with that. So the Lord said, okay, let me go ahead and break you down right quick. All right, let me break you down right quick. So let's look at Jonah. Let's look at Jonah chapter 4. Look at Jonah chapter 4. We're going to go to 11. It's the last verse. So keep in mind with Jonah. Did not want to go talk to these people because in his mind, he felt like his words were not going to be reciprocated. In our minds, we feel like our words may not be reciprocated because we're going off an outward appearance of what somebody looks like. And that's something we're going to have to refrain away from. We only see this flesh. That's all we see. We don't see the inside. All right. We all have our struggles. We all have our struggles. It's what we choose to lean on is how we get by them. All praises. 4:11. Now, this was after Jonah was mad. He wasn't mad at the Lord. He's really mad at the task at hand. Like, man, why I gotta do this? Why? Right? So 11. And should I not spare Nineveh, that great city, wherein are more than 120,000 persons that cannot discern between their right hand and their left hand, and also much cattle. So this was after a gourd that, well, basically we could say like a canopy that he had built for Jonah, and then the Lord built it in one day and took it away the next. That fast, right? So the Lord can give you, well, He gives you salvation through Christ. He gives you salvation through Christ that instant. We have to stop being of those type of people who want to harbor that for yourselves and not share that with others. You know, we have to be the type of people who just want to talk and get out there and do this, right? Get out there and reach. Talk to as much people as you can. It's a positive chain reaction. And then of course, you know, it's a negative chain reaction. You have a positive reaction and a negative reaction. Be part of that positive reaction, because that positive reaction leads to everlasting life. That positive reaction leads to, even though as dark as this world is, you still see light, which light comes in the form of the gospel. Light comes in the form of Christ dwelling inside of your bodies. And it's a beautiful thing to see in such a dark place. All praises. So what he's saying, and should I not spare Nineveh? So Jonah, you feel this way about this place. You don't want to talk to these people because of how you feel, but should I not spare them? They cannot discern between their left and their right. So what does that mean? Knowledge has not hit these people's minds. Okay. So somebody can go out here and steal and do all types of stuff, but may not know, like, hey, it's wrong. You can hear it passed down from man to family to woman. But once you see it, then that's when you're held accountable. You're held accountable because now you have knowledge that, okay, it's not wrong because there's a judgment for that. Right. And since we're speaking on that, like the sin, we have to stop categorizing sin. We have to stop it. Just because somebody steals, this person's cheating on their wife, cheating on their husband, this person killed somebody, this person did some vile things, doesn't mean that you can sit back and say, well, I only stole a piece of chewing gum, so my punishment should be pretty light. No, 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 no. Sin is one. All right. Sin is sin. There's no levels. It doesn't matter if you stole a piece of chewing gum. It doesn't matter if you stole a muffler off somebody's car. It doesn't matter. Sin is sin. Period. So let's stop categorizing that. So mind your business. Mind your business. All praises. Let's go to 1 Thessalonians. Let's go to 1 Thessalonians. We're going to look at chapter 4. Let's go to chapter 4, verse 11. And that you study to be quiet and to do your own business and to work with your hands as we commanded you. So basically what Paul was saying in his letter to this church, you study to be quiet, you mind your own affairs, right? You mind your own business. You mind your own business. Mind your own affairs, mind your own business. Study to be quiet. So we all have things that we go through on our just day-to-day life. If we choose to speak to somebody else about it, then we have put them in our business, right? But if you hear a rumor that, oh, every time Sally says she's going to the grocery store, she's really going somewhere else, you know, you hear that and then you're going off talking about it, that makes you a talebearer. It can also put you in the realm of being a false witness because you don't know if that's true or not. I want you to pay attention. Pay attention to just how you speak to people. And if you're a third party and that person's gone, right? And if somebody else brings this person up and speaks in a negative vibe about them, you should be able to correct that right then and there. Say, hey, look, this person's not here and I really don't even want to hear this about them. Don't join that. We have to break that, right? We have to break that. We have to start busting that down. So let's look back in the same verse. And then, and that you study to be quiet and do your own business and to work with your own hands as we commanded you. right? Work with your own hands. Do your own matters. Handle your own matters. Don't worry about everybody else's matters. All right. Now let's look at First Peter. We're gonna go to First Peter. Looks like we got these chapters, common chapters here. First Peter, chapter 4. We're gonna look at verse 15. But let none of you suffer as a murderer, or as a thief, or as an evildoer, or as a busybody in other men's matters. All right. Again, but let none of you suffer as a murderer, or as a thief, or as an evildoer, or as a busybody in other man's matters. Stay in your lane. Mind your business. Think about this. Has anybody ever presented to you somebody else's business and it got you upset? Let that process. Somebody else's business got you upset. How did you let the power of that have control over your emotions in somebody else's business? Let that sink in. Now let's go to 16. Yet, if any man suffer as a Christian, let him not be ashamed, but let him glorify God on this behalf. 17. For the time is come that judgment must begin at the house of God, and if it first begin at us, what shall the end be of them that obey not the gospel of God? 18. And if the righteous scarcely be saved, where shall the ungodly and the sinner appear? 19. Wherefore let them that suffer according to the will of God commit the keeping of their souls to him in well doing, as unto a faithful creator. Mind your business. You have the opportunity to present the gospel, present it. Speak as much as you know. I love when you have conversations with people that have knowledge, and you just go back and forth, like a tennis match. And if somebody was a third party, they're like this the whole time. I love it. I love that. I love that. And I pray that others could have that feeling when they speak to somebody who is of the same mind, believe the same beliefs, and then just have joy. Have joy in speaking of the Lord. Have joy wanting to learn more, wanting to understand more, right? All right, so let's go to Proverbs. We'll go to Proverbs chapter 18. It's Proverbs chapter 18. Let's see. Proverbs chapter 18, verse 7. I'm going to do 7 and 8. 7. A fool's mouth in his destruction, and his lips are the snare of his soul. 7 again. A fool's mouth is his destruction, and his lips are the snare of his soul. A fool's mouth is his destruction. We are judged on our words, idle words. We're judged on our words. So a fool's mouth is his destruction, right? Now see what else it says. And his lips are a snare of his soul. So trap, web, like a spider web. We all speak these things if we talk foolishly. Not only is it going to destroy us, right? We have to mind what we're talking about when we're talking about people, because if you pay attention, negativity spreads faster. Look at your Facebook and negative things, right? And they don't necessarily have to be negative. Somebody can post a pair of Jordans on there and get more likes than John 3:16. And that's just where we are in this world. All right. So let's look at 8. The words of a talebearer are as wounds, and they go down into the innermost parts of the belly. This is gossiping. Talebearing. This is gossiping, slandering, hearing that Sally's doing this stuff, and you don't even know because Johnny just told you, and you're going to go tell Abby about it. We have to mind our business, mind our own affairs. All right? Mind our business. How do we do that? We continue to eat this bread. We continue to come across scriptures like this. We continue to sharpen our sword. We continue to talk to people that believe the same thing that we believe so we can keep our sword sharp. All right? Because you know how tough it would be if you eat steak and you try to cut steak with a butter knife. Think of how tough that would be. More or less, when you try to cut steak with a butter knife, you're going to struggle with it, right? So if we allow our swords to be dull, we're going to struggle just like trying to struggle to cut meat, right? We're going to struggle. And what do you mean by struggle? So the struggle that I'm talking about is that you make it harder on yourself trying to cut a piece of meat with a butter knife when the only thing you have to do is get something sharp. So when you have this word and you're continuing to sharpen your sword, it is more, I don't want to say easy, but it's more comforting and it's more just rewarding to be able to speak to somebody, and the message is conveyed. So if you have a dull knife and somebody comes to you with something that sounds good, it sounds fleshly, you're more applicable to fall for it than you having a sharp knife and somebody comes to you and says, "Hey, look, I have a picture of Jesus in my trunk. I'm gonna take it out the car. I'm gonna put it on my wall, and we're both gonna worship it." So if you have a sharp sword, you're gonna be like, "Oh, no, 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 no." Like we can go to Deuteronomy. We're not gonna do that. Keep your sword sharp. Much love. Peace.